8.1 is a workshop to receive the proposed mid-year budget revisions for fiscal year 2008, 2009, and future budget projections. Nancy?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I will be presenting, and I will go slow because I'm going to refer back to the packet that you received last Friday. We also posted the packet on the website on Friday night as well. So there's a lot of detail that we will cover tonight, and please ask me any questions that you have at any time. So with that, Sandra is going to be helping me with the PowerPoint. The history, where we're at right now, we, back in June of 2008, the City Council approved a budget. In October, I presented a revised budget. In October, I presented that revenues were lower and expenditures were higher actually than that were budgeted in the original budget for 08-09. And at that time, Council agreed with my recommendation that I would bring back a downsizing plan in January that would address the shortfall that we have in the general fund. And that meeting is tonight. Tonight's a workshop. We are not taking action tonight. We are going through the details of it, and I will be bringing back the resolution at a later council meeting, either the 27th of January or February 10th. But I did want to spend a lot of time tonight going through the details of it, and this is your chance to, again, address any issues here. So with that, that's the history. So here are the revised projections for January. This information was in the staff report, so basically a snapshot. We probably these estimates were made probably in March of April of 2008, but the adopted budget that was for June 2008 showed a revenue stream coming in for the general fund of $14,689,000. In reality, based on the latest information we have for property tax, sales tax, administration fee collection that we are getting, permit fees, our new revenue estimate is $13.8 million. That is significant. That variance is $863,000 from what we had budgeted for this fiscal year. And this fiscal year ends on June 30th, 2009. On our expenditure side, what was budgeted was $15.5 million. In reality, what is being budgeted this year based on changes is $15.6 million. That's an increase of $145,000 this fiscal year. What was presented to council as a projection of what would be used in reserves for 08-09 year is $842,000. But in reality, with our rate of expenditures and our revenues, we're going to be using $1.8 million in reserve, or an increase of $1 million. So that is also a significant change. Before I move on, Dixon is not alone in this situation. Cities and counties throughout California are suffering due to the regional and local state economy. The state of California has its own unique issues as well, but we are not alone in this. You should know that. Dixon is not. Certainly, we have a lot of company in this area. So specifically, the next slide, we're going to talk about revenues. Property taxes, what was budgeted was $3.2 million, and I'm just going to round it for my presentation. You can see the actual dollar numbers. Property taxes, based on another revision from the county, and we received money on December 10th. We were going to receive $3 million. So that's a reduction of $195,000. And I have to commend Sandra Sato and her staff. She has been working so hard to go through the revenues and go through the expenditures to make sure these numbers are accurate for our projection. I can't tell you how many phone calls she's made to the county regarding the property taxes alone. Under sales tax, we have a consultant that works with us. So we have a third party that reviews our sales tax income streams. They actually look at different, it's confidential data with different users that we have, providers of sales tax here, but they look at their income tax or sales tax forms to see if there's any changes going on. We definitely have a change due to the economy with our current generators of sales tax in Dixon. So that variance from what was budgeted to what was predicted is down $427,000. Under motor vehicle new taxes, this is a formula that we get based on the state allocation. This is down, obviously, because of the state situation. Under franchise fees, that's a bright note because the city approved a garbage franchise increase. I want to say July of, well, I was just hired, July of 2008. We have an increase in franchise fees based on that alone. Under the TOT tax, transit occupancy tax, this is based on monies that we receive when people rent a motel for the evening. We do have a new motel under construction, so I anticipate additional revenues next fiscal year. But right now, the economy is impacting our current motels, and so there's a reduction in that revenue stream. All other taxes is a minor adjustment of $14,000. Under the other revenues, and this is an internal revenue mechanism. We can charge projects. We can charge if we had a project under review, we would charge what's called an administrative fee. Staff would charge that. We would be able to recoup some of our costs in reviewing plans, projects. That amount is significantly dropping because there's less to review. There's less projects. That number continues to go down dramatically, just like the other revenues that we have with the city. So there's an adjustment made on that. And when I made the presentation in October, I was concerned about this figure, and so I've asked Sandra again diligently to go through every line item where we could particularly charge to each fund. And these are internal charges within funds. What would be appropriate as well as what we can really charge to. If we have no projects going on, we can't charge to them basically. So that is a reduction. You can also see under the next line, charges for services and permit fees. What we had budgeted was $1 million. What we're going to receive is $947,000. This is again based on current permitting that was going on. We have a lot of small permits being issued, but nothing on a large scale. And this number has been revised down $118,000. Under grants, we have one-time grant that we received, and that's what that was not budgeted. That received, and that's why we have an increase to $128,000 from 53. Under interest income, that is dramatically down because we have less money to invest, and the interest rates are extremely low. And that is why that number has been adjusted dramatically by $70,000 in the general fund. And under all other revenues, we have a slight adjustment of $15,000 overall. Transfers, we have an increase of about $158,000, and this is a one-time transfer that we're transferring from the redevelopment agency to the general fund based on legal fees that the general fund paid for on behalf of the redevelopment agency. This has to do with our redevelopment projects. That's a one-time transfer. So that is our revenue projection. We have details of each line item in the packet, line by line. This is a summary of the revenues, but in the packet there's actually a spreadsheet that goes line by the account code for revenues. And it actually shows each one, the variances from the budget amount. Okay, under expenditures, this is an area that you can, once you have a good payroll system, you can generate reports and you can do good calculations on and with a high accuracy on the numbers. Under the category of salary and benefits, our adopted budget had a $12.3 million budgeted amount. In reality, we have a 12.4. So that again is a change. The next column is suggested with the cuts included. And I'm going to go back to that later. Under operating expenses, we have $2.9 million that was budgeted. In reality, we have an expense of $3 million. Capital is no change. Transfers, the only transfer we actually have for 0809 are the transfers to the landscape and lighting maintenance districts. That's a $31,000 figure. So where we were budgeted was 15.5. This is, and we use a budget based on expenditures, not based on revenues. Where we believe we'll be is 15.6, and this by the end of this fiscal year. And my recommended cuts, which I will go back in more detail, we will end up at $15 million if you approve the proposed cuts that I have tonight. And I'll explain why we need to make cuts.